Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast. On today's episode, Ken and I will be discussing an incredible book, The Miracle Morning. We go deep on what we learned from the book and how we are applying these lessons in our e-commerce businesses and in our lives. Ken, what's going on, man?
David, what's up? Glad to be in the studio today sharing this wonderful book with all the listeners. This amazing book's had a huge impact, I think, for both of us. But before we get into the book, let's talk about the author and get a little bit of understanding and background. So the book was written by Hal Elrod. Hal actually died at age 20. He was hit head-on by a drunk driver at like 70 miles per hour. His heart stopped for 6 minutes, broke 11 bones, and the doctor said, "You're done. Like, you're never going to walk again," you know. And so through Hal's life, not only did he walk, he went on to run a 52-mile ultra marathon and became a Hall of Fame business achiever before he was 30. And then, again, in November 2016, Hal nearly died again. His kidneys, lungs, and heart were on the verge of failing, and then he was diagnosed with a very rare, aggressive form of cancer. After about a year of this battle with cancer, Hal is now cancer-free and furthering his mission through the film Miracle Morning. Hal, he's had a lot of ups and downs in his life and trying to figure everything out. He had 2 brushes with death, bankruptcy. He went on to become an ultramarathoner. He speaks around the world now. He's an author of multiple books, husband, father, and all before 30. So that's a little bit of background. He's pretty crazy guy.
Yeah, absolute legend. And you know, talk about a couple very bad days, right? Getting diagnosed with cancer, getting in a car accident, being dead for 6 minutes. It's an incredible story. Now, I got to ask you, where did you hear about this book first?
I cannot remember where I heard about it, but it was from someone that was mentoring me, and I was like, I can't seem to get enough done, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, have you read this book? And so I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think I heard about it on the Bigger Pockets podcast. It's a real estate podcast, but I heard it come up a couple times on there and thought, well, I better check it out. Now, I have to say, in terms of like books that I recommend, it is near the top of the list. The thing I like about it is, if you're in e-commerce, it's a great read. If you're a construction worker or a doctor or a lawyer or literally anything, everyone's got a morning. And I feel like it's a pretty like undervalued time of day. And so, I don't know, this places a premium on your time in the morning. So really love this book. And I would say to anybody, give it a read. It's different than your standard issue like life improvement book, you know what I mean? It's like super practical advice. And so we're gonna dive into a couple different sections of the Miracle Morning. But what I would say is the premise of this book is for you to really make the most out of your morning. And Hal lays out a 6-part process that he follows every morning. And so you just want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. So like David mentioned, the book is broken down into 6 parts, and we're going to go over those. Hal spells them out as S.A.V.E.R.S, S-A-V-E-R-S. We're going to break them down at a high level. We still definitely recommend reading the book at length. You'll get a lot out of it. So the first one, S in S.A.V.E.R.S, silence. Silence can be defined as, pure quiet, thinking, deep breathing, praying, reflection, gratitude, meditation. Meditation is my favorite. You can use this time for however it fits you best. It'll just having that brief period of quiet, it kind of brings it like centers you, and it allows you to focus deeper. And I think everyone can use that in their life.
Absolutely. I'll tell you one change that I made to address the silence piece of S.A.V.E.R.S is I got something, and we'll post a link to it in the show notes, but it's a sunrise alarm clock, and starting like 15 minutes before you set it, a light comes on and it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And if you sleep through that, at the end of that, there is a noise. But one thing that I found was like, I used to use like the standard issue alarm clock that went, and what a terrible way to start the day. You know what I mean? Like it's like usually you're in a deep sleep, you wake up totally panicked, and it's just a bad way. It sets the tone for the day, and I think in a negative way. And so it was like $20 on Amazon, and it has been worth its weight in gold. The other thing I would say is, since I transitioned to the sunrise alarm clock, I no longer keep my cell phone in the bedroom, which I used to. I'd wake up and I'd lay in bed, and I'd go through social media, or immediately had a screen in front of my face, and that's been like, it has been good to keep the cell phone out of the bedroom for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. I wake up to one of those annoying ass alarm clocks, and I need to check out that what is it called, a sunrise alarm clock?
Yeah, it's next level, and it's supposed to mimic like the circadian rhythm. You wake up with the sun and go to bed when the sun goes down, and I don't know. It's worth its weight in gold, in my opinion.
Nice. Yep, I'm going to check it out. David, what's A?
So A is for affirmations. An affirmation is a sentence or two in alignment with what you want to accomplish and who you need to be to accomplish it. Hal Elrod suggests repeating your affirmations daily, ideally out loud. They immediately make an impression on your subconscious mind, he explains. They transform how you think and feel, so you can overcome your limiting beliefs and behaviors and replace them with those you need to succeed. Affirmations help program your brain with a blueprint or design of what you are going to accomplish. Inside the book, there's a roadmap on how to make affirmations. But I think reading that roadmap is helpful, but also you just have to, get after it, on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the stories Hal shares in the book, and I was kind of in the same boat. He was living with a roommate earlier on in his life, and he would every morning he would hear the roommate in the shower, and he thought he was calling for Hal. He was not. He was reading. He was basically saying his affirmations aloud. And so Hal would like go to the bathroom. He's like, "What do you need?" And the guy was not talking to him. So Hal he thought like, "Oh, that's crazy. Like, why would you do that?" And then, he asked his friend about it, and his friend told him like, "Yeah, you say, you write it down, then you say it, and then you basically kind of program your brain into that." And so, I never thought there was much value in that until I did it, and now it's like I'll tell strangers my affirmation. It's like I think the more you say something, the more you're programming your brain that you believe it, and that it's reciprocal. So it's very powerful.
Definitely. And one thing I would encourage anybody to do as they're writing their affirmations is to include the word professional. For instance, part of mine is I'm a professional e-commerce seller, and some people may hear that and say, that sounds cocky, but I think that thinking of yourself as a professional and acting accordingly, like what does a pro do, really benefits you incredibly. And so there's no, the thing I like about these affirmations also is, yes, you can tell someone, but they're mostly like by yourself. And so, hype yourself up, pump yourself up. It's good to be modest, but, this is not the time to be modest. Pump yourself up.
Yeah, definitely agree. Affirmations, you should be going all out. Like, this is like what you want, out of your life. Who do you want to, what's the person you want to become? And that's what it should be. Definitely don't hold back. Next one, V, visualization. This is a visualization when you train your brain to see things as you would like them to be instead of as they are. Hal says that for 5 minutes you should visualize living your ideal day, performing all the tasks with ease, confidence, and enjoyment. This is another way to kind of program your brain. Visualizing your future self and how you will live your life. it's for some people it's harder than others. For it takes practice and takes a little bit. I kind of do this with also the quiet time, the silence. For me, there's a couple different ways to visualize things. I like to print something out. Like I'll go to the print store and I'll print out something whatever it is, whether it's a goal, a reward, something that I want to visualize. I'll print it out and I'll put it on my wall, and then in my office, whenever I come in there, I look at that, and that's in front of my face, as well as just thinking and visualizing. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want to accomplish? And just visualize those. It's very powerful.
Definitely. As it relates to e-commerce, one thing that I like to visualize is building out a team of happy, engaged team members. And that's something that, Ken, you and I do in our business is, asking people, hey, what do you like to work on? What do you not like working on? Consistently like challenging them, helping them learn and really build like some career equity. And so that's something that, I definitely have been visualizing lately. And I think, we've been doing a pretty good job of is, listening to employees and helping like create an environment where you can share ideas openly and everyone feels comfortable to speak up or challenge an idea. And so, I definitely have a lot of different visualizations, but that, as it relates to business, is one that I really like to think of. Is just a team of happy people.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, visualization is very powerful, and it can be used in, pretty much any aspect of your life. Not only business or your e-commerce business or your personal life, your personal goals, whatever it is on your journey that you want to change or you want to go to the next level. You can use visualization to help you get there. David, what's E?
E is for exercise. This is one of the best ways to increase your energy and self-confidence. That is to exercise. Wake up your body, get your blood flowing. Whatever you choose to do, running, walking, lifting weights, yoga, cardio, it doesn't really matter. Just do something. And I'll tell you, I love the idea, and this is just me personally applying E. I love the idea of going to the gym and pumping iron. However, I don't do that. One thing I do regularly is take a 30 to 45 minute walk in the woods. Mark Twain, one of my favorite authors, one of Missouri's best, said all great men schedule time to walk in the woods alone. And so that's one way, it's just a nice little walk, but in the morning, especially letting that sun hit your face, and it's, I don't know, that's how I'm getting my exercise in. Am I going to get totally yoked by walking in the woods? Probably not. But I would say it's a nice routine to get into, especially if you're working from home too, where you can go from the bedroom to the office immediately, having just a little bit of space in between wake up time and going to work, which usually would be occupied by a commute, right? I think this is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had a good point. Everybody's working remote, especially in the last couple of years. That's skyrocketed working remote, and I mean, there could be days where you could just go from bed to your office to back to bed and not do anything else in between. And so, create that habit for exercise every day. If you're a creature of comfort or habit, or make sure it's in the same time slot and just create that habit. But I like that quote, walking in the woods by yourself. That's really good. I like to walk my dog. He's a bulldog. He doesn't last very long, so I got to take him back home and go back out. But I like walking my dog and getting that sunshine. So whatever it is you choose for exercise, just make sure you do it every day and create a habit, form a habit out of that one. Next one is R, reading. This is one of my favorites. I think it's one of David's favorites as well. Fill your brain up with knowledge. Books are very, very inexpensive. Probably could get them for free if you get a library card. There's really no reason to do that. And reading is kind of that power of, what is it, David? like in banking where you stack interest, right?
Oh, compounding.
Compounding, right? That's what this is. So like, let's say you read 2 chapters a day, and you do that for 365 days. That's a lot of chapters. You're going to have a stack of books at the end of the year. So read a few chapters every morning. You're gonna stack it up. Oh, and pro tip, if you're not sure, if you just started listening to our podcast and you're not sure of kind of where to start, what books to read, David and I got together. We put all of our favorite books and the books that have made the most impact in our life into our Firing the Man library. You can see that at firingtheman.com /library, and we have I think 20 or 50 books in there. Just go in there and look, and any one of those are top choices. For me, I like to rotate between an actual physical book and audiobooks, depending if I'm driving, commuting, traveling, whatever. So just have your favorite book easily accessible, and just create that habit. It's huge. David, anything on reading?
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned audiobooks, because that's something that, it took me the first 25 years of my life. I thought if you want to read, you got to sit down and flip the pages. And, I don't know if I have adult ADHD or if I just have trouble sitting still for a long time, but man, one of my favorite things to do is throw on some headphones and put on an audiobook. And that's something that, especially if you're sitting at a desk all day, going to sit in a chair and read a book may not be something that you want to do. And so I've noticed and maybe I'm overthinking this, but I've noticed some people have a bit of shame about listening to an audiobook instead of reading it. I'll ask someone hey, have you read that book? And they'll be like, well, I listened to it. And it's it's the same information. It's exactly the same information. And if you process information better, through an audiobook, go that route. But I would say if you're tuning into this podcast, you most likely like podcasts. So audiobooks probably are a natural fit for you. And, Audible is fairly inexpensive. And, for probably 2 cups of coffee, you can pay for an Audible subscription. And, I would just get that recurring subscription. And so, a couple credits show up in your account every month, and that'll hold you accountable to, using them, right? And so, but yeah, this is something that I think is super powerful and probably one of my favorite pieces of S.A.V.E.R.S.
Yeah, absolutely. One quick thing to add before we go on. If you're like me, I did not start. I was not an avid reader until my mid-30s, and so if you are not an avid reader, you weren't raised around books or any of that stuff, just try it, give it a shot. Find topics that you're interested in, and just give it a shot.
And we're spending a lot of time on reading, and I got one more that I think is kind of a next level pro tip. I thought I was a pretty slow reader. It took me kind of a long time to get through the pages. And I watched, it's a 13-minute YouTube video, and we'll post it in the show notes, but it's by Tim Ferriss. And it's how to teach yourself how to speed read. And you take a ruler and you divide the page up into 3 different sections. And instead of reading individual words, you read blocks of words. And I know this sounds super complicated, but listen, if I can do it, anyone can do it. But I would say just watching that video and then practicing, I would say I probably had 20 to 30% efficiency gains in reading. And it's not that hard. You watch the video, get out a book and a ruler, and make the lines on the pages. And before you know it, you won't need to draw those guidelines. Your brain will just pick up on it. So if you think you're a slow reader, take 13 minutes, watch this video. It's definitely not going to set you back, for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. I've never looked at that one. David, S, what's S stand for?
S is for scribing. Scribing is short for writing. Hal describes scribing as journaling and emphasizes how powerful this practice can be. Just getting all your thoughts out of your head and onto paper, aka a journal, can be incredibly powerful. Hal also sells a specific Miracle Morning journal, which is structured specifically for this program. There you go. Ken's got it right in his hands. And And this is a good way to just get all your thoughts down on paper and free up your mental power for other activities in thinking. So, Ken, how are you implementing scribing?
Yeah, so journaling was something that I never really practiced ever before reading, Miracle Morning, and so for me, I like to write down my goals, annual goals, and then weekly goals, and then daily. And so for me, writing those down, and then I just naturally more stuff comes out. Like it's really helpful for me to free up my brain space, because if I'm writing something down, then that gives me permission to let it go out of my brain. And so that's how journaling for me. That's how I use it the most. Also, I like to go back and look what I wrote down a few months ago or 6 months ago and see, okay, how has this changed, or have I accomplished this? And so it's good for kind of reflection on that. But most importantly for me, it's getting my thoughts out of my head onto paper, releases space. It's almost like a RAM. If you're a tech guy like me, it's like you're opening up your RAM for more stuff.
Definitely, yeah. I've always kind of had a to-do list, but after reading this book, I kind of extended just the to-do list into reviewing goals and thinking about like what next step will have the highest impact, the highest ROI, as it relates to business. And so, one thing that I have done recently is I have transitioned from a paper journal to a digital journal. And I do like the idea of a paper journal. It is kind of old-timey. But the thing I like about it existing in digital form is have you ever been like driving or just out and about? You don't have your journal with you, but you think of something and you're like, I want to remember this later. You can whip out your phone and type it in. And so we've been using Asana in our business. And so I have kind of my to-do list documented there. But that's been really nice, and you can organize things into high priority and low priority. And so one thing that I used to use a legal pad, and one thing that used to overwhelm me was when my to-do list was more than one page, and it was hard to like pick out the high impact activities. And so, my to-do list right now is very long, but it's not overwhelming because I can go through and be like, hey, these are the high impact ones. I may only have 3 or 4 high impact activities on my to-do list, and the rest are just things that I need to get to, and I do get to them, but I do like having the journal existing in digital form.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's easier, more convenient using technology. The same thing with like audio. You can kind of record yourself if that's better. So just kind of recap here. The book and the strategy is broken down into SAVERS: silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. So just to give a wrap up, David, what is your wrap up for the book, and kind of what is your key takeaways?
So one of my biggest key takeaways about this book is the implementation piece of it. And when I first heard of it, I heard of doing the Miracle Morning 30-day challenge. And this is something that I think is incredibly important, because there are a lot of things in this morning routine that he lays out that you may have never done before. For instance, like I remember the first time I meditated, I was like, this is dumb. I'm just sitting here for 10 minutes wasting time. But I think when you just commit to following this program to a T for 30 days, you start to really see the value in it. And so the other thing I would say is like, that 30-day challenge, that gets you, there's some consistency in it. A piece of this is waking up early in the morning. And, especially when I was working for the man, I would wake up early for 5 days in a row, and then on the weekends I'd sleep in. I think a lot of people do that. But this has helped me, like just that 30-day, every single day, really gets you into a nice rhythm and sleep routine. And so, the second piece of this is that there is such a thing as a modified miracle morning. You don't need to do every single one of these. And that's been something that, after the 30-day challenge, I thought to myself, like, all right, here are the pieces of this that I like. and I want to continue doing. And then here are some things that, I don't really care for, and so I'm not going to do it. But until you do it for 30 days in a row, you really don't know. And, you can add stuff in there. For instance, like, I like to sauna 3 mornings a week, and it's not part of the book, but it's just like, it hits on a lot of the similar things of the book in that, like, it's quiet. Maybe that's my silence piece of the S.A.V.E.R.S. But yeah, I would say, like, currently, if you look at my morning routine, it doesn't like closely track the book, but it is built upon the structure that the book lays out. What about you, Ken? What were some of your key takeaways?
Yeah, so after reading the book, it's clear the content in the book is aligned with what a lot of extremely successful people do to get ahead in life and to get ahead of their competition. The list that Hal lays out in the book as examples is really long, and each chapter he'll kind of point out a couple of examples. Tony Robbins, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Tiger Woods. You get the point. Massive successful people are following these principles that are in the book. And just like anything else, it's not really rocket science. You really just need to find some successful people, study them, find out what they're doing, and then just do that. Like, it's not rocket science. My overall take on the book is Hal unleashes just like what you mentioned earlier, just a whole bunch of strategies. It's going to help you outwork your competitors, and it's going to help you be a better person and get ahead in life, get the most out of your life. As everybody, whoever's been listening to the show for a while knows that I was in the military earlier on in my life, and I was forced to get up early and run, 3-5 miles. I was forced to do these things, and so when I left the military, I was like, I'm done with that. I'm sleeping in, screw that. And then, so when I read the Miracle Morning, I'm like, shit. I'm like, here we go again. So, but it was a lot different. It was like, after, like you said, the 30-day challenge, I love that. Like that's like a test run, right? I did that after about, I'd say like a week, maybe a week and a half. It was easier to get up. And then after about 2 weeks, I would wake up, you mentioned that sunrise alarm. I was getting up before my alarm, and I was excited and happy for my day. I was showing gratitude, and it was really, really life-changing for me. I was like, holy shit, Before, you'd have to drag me out of bed, throw a bucket of water on me, get up, and now it's like I'm getting up, and I'm excited, and I'm kind of going through this. I enjoyed getting up and going about my day, So after doing that for a couple weeks, a month, you're gonna have more energy. You're gonna want to get up. You're gonna be accomplishing more. It's amazing. This book alone is probably one of my top 3 books picks for like self-improvement of all time. Anything that I've read, like, this is in my top 3. So I highly recommend grabbing that book.
For sure. One final thought that I will mention is that waking up early does not mean sleeping less. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm not a morning person," and I think that maybe you ease into this where you go to bed a half hour earlier and wake up a half hour earlier. Do that for a couple days and ease into it. But I think anybody can be a morning person, but I would not encourage you to sacrifice sleep. That's when your brain's recharging, and there's a handful of studies out there that show like being sleep deprived is very similar to like being drunk in terms of your fine motor skills and just how your brain's running. And so I would say if you're going to do the Miracle Morning, you need to plan on going to bed a little bit earlier. And so and the last thing I would say is of the successful people that I know, most of them, not all, but most of them wake up early. There's a saying, I think it was Vanderbilt, that said, early to bed, early to rise makes you strong, wealthy, and wise. And man, I think that's true. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about getting up in the morning, but you look, Tony Robbins, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Tiger Woods. I mean, these people are crushing it, and they've got a strong morning routine. So is that a coincidence? I don't think so. So anyway, to close out the episode, give this book a read or a listen. And we challenge you, Ken and I challenge you to do the 30-day challenge. And at the end of that 30-day challenge, go to firingtheman.com, click on the microphone, and share your experiences. Let us know, how did the 30-day challenge go? What piece of the S.A.V.E.R.S are you going to continue doing? And which ones are you going to kind of let go and maybe replace it with something? But anyway, good luck, everyone. Please accept this challenge, read the book, and I promise you'll be better for it.